Elon Musk's private phone rings at midnight, a number that only his closest associates should know. On the other end, a distorted voice whispers, "I have something that belongs to you, something you didn't realize was missing." Then he receives an email with only a photograph, a worn leather journal with his name embossed on it that he has never seen before, and an address in Oakland. Despite his security team's urgent warnings, Elon decides to investigate personally. What he finds at that address will solve a 25-year-old mystery, linking his past to an unexpected legacy and revealing how a woman he never noticed changed both of their lives forever with one extraordinary investment and a series of anonymous notes. The truth hidden in that leather journal will render him speechless. The large house sat silently beneath the midnight sky. The majority of the lights were turned off, except in one room where Elon Musk hunched over his desk. His fingers moved quickly across his laptop keyboard. He only paused to drink cold coffee from a mug that said, "Sleep is for the weak." Elon rubbed his tired eyes. It was nearly midnight, but sleep was the last thing on his mind. His newest project required his attention. The designs were not quite right, and tomorrow's meeting could not wait. The only sounds were the soft hum of his computer and the occasional tap of his stylus against the tablet beside him. He preferred this time of night because it was quiet and allowed him to think uninterrupted. Then his private phone rang. Elon froze and stared at the device. The sleek black phone sat in the corner of his desk, its screen lit up with an incoming call. This was not his regular phone. This number was unique, known only to his closest family, friends, and top executives. The caller ID should have displayed a name. Instead, it read, "Unknown." That was impossible. His system recognized all callers on this line. Even blocked numbers showed up in his custom security setup. Unknown callers should be unable to reach this phone. The telephone continued to ring. 4 rings. 5. Elon's hand hovered over it, curious but cautious. His security team had strict policies regarding unexpected communications. Strange calls were frequently a source of concern for him. Reporters fishing for information, business rivals testing his defenses, or rabid fans who somehow obtained his personal information. On the 7th ring, he answered. "Hello," he said, his tone neutral. Silence greeted him, followed by a soft sound like someone taking a breath. The line crackled with unusual static. "Mr. Musk." The voice was not clearly male or female, but rather distorted, barely above a whisper. "I have something that belongs to you." Elon sat up straighter. "Who is this?" "Something you didn't realize was missing," the voice said, ignoring his question. Elon glanced at his computer screen and entered a quick command to trace the call. The security system displayed nothing, as if the call did not exist. "I don't have time for games," Elon explained. "Please state your business, or I will hang up." "Check your email," the voice whispered. "This is your private account. You have an hour." The line went dead. Elon stared at the phone with a slight tremor in his hand. He should contact Dominic, his head of security. His team had protocols in place for situations like this. Strange calls, mysterious demands. This is what happens to people in his position. Instead, he opened his laptop and checked his private email. An account unrelated to any of his businesses, known only to a few people. There it was, a new message with no subject line, sent from an address with random numbers and letters. He did a quick security scan before opening it. The email only contained one image, a photograph of a worn leather journal with soft edges from years of handling. The cover was a deep burgundy color, with age-related cracks. Elon Musk's name was embossed in faded gold letters across the front. Elon leaned closer to the screen. He'd never seen the journal before. He had many notebooks over the years, but none matched this aged leather volume. The image included an e-address in Oakland, a neighborhood he rarely visited. He checked the time, 12:08 a.m. The clock was running on whatever game this was. Elon opened his drawer and pulled out a secure, untraceable phone. He called Dominic's number. Sir, his security chief responded on the first ring, alert despite the hour. I need a car ready within 15 minutes. Something has come up. Where are you headed at this hour? Dominic inquired, his voice filled with professional concern. Elon hesitated. Oakland? I will accompany you with a security team. Elon cut him off. Simply have a car ready, something discreet. A pause on the line. Sir, with all due respect, we have protocols for unscheduled outings, particularly at night. Elon knew Dominic was correct. The protocols existed for good reasons, but something about the whispered voice and the journal bearing his name drew him in. This was not a random threat or scam. It felt personal. I am aware of the protocols, Dominic, but tonight is different. Only the car, please. A prolonged pause. 20 minutes, sir. The gray Tesla will be out front. Elon terminated the call and proceeded to change. He replaced his company t-shirt with a plain black one and put on a simple jacket. In his closet, behind his tailored suits and designer shoes, he kept a section of everyday clothes, jeans, hoodies, and worn sneakers that would not attract attention. As he got dressed, his private phone rang with a text message from the same unknown number. Come alone, or do not come at all. This is not about money. Elon stared at the message. Most people who attempted to contact him wanted something. Money, connections, and publicity. What exactly did this person want if not any of those things? He took another look at the email containing the strange journal. His name appeared in a book he had never seen. A mystery written especially for him. His rational mind compiled a list of reasons not to go. Potential dangers include kidnappers and the press, if they learn of this midnight excursion. Yet, something deeper drew him to this mystery. In a life carefully planned and organized, with risks calculated and minimized, the unknown was almost refreshing. Elon slipped out the side entrance of his house 20 minutes later, and the gray Tesla waited as promised. He nodded at the driver, one of Dominic's most trusted men. The driver handed Elon the keys and said the address was programmed in. Mr. Reed asked me to remind you that your phone contains an emergency tracker. Press the side button 3 times.
You need help. Elon took the keys. Thank you.
I will be fine. Sir, the driver paused. Mr. Reed also asked me to warn you that whatever this is about, be cautious. Certain opportunities are actually traps. Elon smiled slightly. And some traps create opportunities. He got in the car and drove away from his massive house, watching it shrink in the rearview mirror. As he drove through the empty late-night streets, the houses became smaller and the neighborhoods less manicured. His thoughts raced with possibilities. Who kept that journal? Why did it include his name? And why are you contacting him in the middle of the night in such secrecy? The GPS pointed him toward Oakland, a part of the city that most of his wealthy friends had never visited. As the landscape changed around him, Elon had the strange sensation of stepping out of his normal life and into something unknown. For a man who designed rockets to Mars and tunnels beneath cities, moved markets with tweets, and reshaped entire industries. With decisions, the simple mystery of a midnight call and an old journal had completely captivated his attention. He checked the time. 12:47 a.m. It took 13 minutes to reach the address. 13 minutes to figure out what or who was waiting for. Elon's phone vibrated again. Another text message from an unknown number. Hurry, as time is of the essence tonight. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. This could all be a complicated setup. A trap set to lead him away from safety. Dominic would be furious if he knew Elon was considering doing this alone.
He pulled over to the side of the road and sat for a moment, debating. The logical choice would be to turn around, return home, and dispatch a security team the following day. That is what any sensible person would do.
But Elon had never made an impact on the world by being sensible. His telephone rang. Dominic. Sir, our systems show that you have stopped moving. Is everything okay? Elon sighed. Of course, they were tracking him. Everything is fine, Dominic. Sir, I've been thinking about the situation. I strongly urge you to reconsider this excursion. Let me send a backup to the address first. Elon looked out the window at the dark streets. What happens if you send a team? Standard procedure. We secure the area, identify potential threats, and ensure its safety before you arrive. And whoever sent the message would see them coming. That is the point, sir. Elon closed his eyes, picturing the leather journal bearing his name. Whoever this is, they have gone to great lengths to contact me directly. They got past all of our security measures to reach my personal phone. They know my private email address. If they wanted to harm me, they have already shown that they could do so in other ways.
Dominic insisted, that is precisely why this concerns me. This level of intrusion into your personal communication channels is considered a significant security breach by someone who knows me well. There was silence on the other end of the line.
Then, sir, may I ask what this is all about? What was inside that email? Elon hesitated. A journal with my name on it. Something I had never seen before. Is that it? An old book? Dominic, sometimes the smallest things are the most important. Elon put the car back into drive. I'm headed to the address. Alone. Continue to monitor my location if it makes you feel better. But do not send anyone until I signal for assistance. He ended. The call came before Dominic could argue any further, and he pulled back onto the road. The GPS indicated that he was getting close. The neighborhood shifted as he drove deeper into Oakland. The manicured lawns and sprawling homes were replaced with apartments. Buildings with security bars on the windows. Small businesses with metal shutters closed for the night. The streets were mostly empty, with only the occasional person hurrying down the sidewalk. It wasn't necessarily dangerous. It was a world away from the tech campuses and executive boardrooms that surrounded him. This is where regular people lived. The kind who took buses to work and worried about paying their rent. The GPS chimed. Your destination is on the right. Elon slowed his car and peered through the darkness at a small building sandwiched between a laundromat and a corner market. Unlike the other businesses on the block, one light remained on in a window. A simple sign hung over the door. Horizon House. Where new beginnings occur. This was not what he expected. Not a private residence or a shadowy warehouse. But it appeared to be some sort of community center. Children's drawings adorned the windows. Colorful handprints and shaky written names are visible even in low light. Elon parked across the street and sat, watching the building. No other cars came to a stop. No shadowy figures lurked in the doorways. Just a quiet building with one light on after midnight. His phone buzzed one more time. We are waiting inside. So there were multiple people involved. Elon checked his watch. It had been exactly 1 hour since the phone call. Whoever contacted him had timed it perfectly. He drew a deep breath and made his decision. He got out of the car, locked it, and crossed the street. Keep an eye out for any signs of danger. As he approached, he felt the cool night air on his face. Horizon House's door. A handwritten note had been taped to the glass. Mr. Musk, please come inside. He tested the handle. It turned easily, and the door swung open to the soft chime of a bell hung above it. The interior was warm and smelled of books and paint. Children's artwork adorned almost every wall. Colorful and imaginative. Art supplies, puzzles, and educational materials were spread out on tables throughout the room. The space was not fancy. The furniture appeared to have been previously owned. The carpet is worn in paths between tables. However, everything was clean and organized with obvious care. Hello, Elon called out, his voice strange in the quiet room. A woman responded back here. Elon followed the sound through the main room and down a small corridor lined with photographs. He slowed and studied them as he passed. Each frame featured children's faces, laughing, concentrating, and proud.
Children of various ages and backgrounds, some with visible disabilities, others without any noticeable differences. At the end of the hall, a half-open door let in light. Elon paused before it, suddenly realizing that once he stepped through, there was no turning back to his orderly, controlled life.
Whatever was waiting inside would change things. He pushed the door open completely. An elderly woman sat at a simple desk. Her silver hair was pulled back into a neat bun. Deep lines are etched. Her expression reflected both hardship and laughter. Her hands were folded before her. Age spots are visible on the skin. But her posture was upright and dignified. She looked up as he entered. Dark eyes looked at him with unexpected sharpness. Her expression showed no surprise. Only a level of patient certainty. "We've been waiting a long time, Mr. Musk," she explained quietly. And Elon realized he had made the right decision by coming. "Please sit down," the elderly woman requested, gesturing to a worn chair across from her desk. "My name is Magdalena Flores. Horizon House is run by me." Elon took the offered seat and studied the office. It was modest, but meticulously organized, as was the rest of the building. Bookshelves lined the walls, containing educational materials. A large calendar hung beside the desk, filled with colorful notations. "You are the one who called me?" he inquired. Magdalena shakes her head. "No, but I did approve the contact. We agreed that it was time." "We?" "Everything will be explained, Mr. Musk." Her accent was light but noticeable. The words were shaped by what sounded like a young child speaking Spanish. "But first, could I please offer you some tea? When discussing important issues, having something warm on hand is beneficial." Without waiting for a response, she poured from a thermos on her desk into 2 mugs. She pushed one toward him, a chipped blue mug with a child's handprints in paint. "What is this place?" Elon asked, accepting the tea. Magdalena described Horizon House as a safe haven for children who do not fit neatly into the world's boxes. "You mean it is a school?" "More than a school. Many of our students struggle in traditional classrooms. Their minds work differently. Dyslexia, ADHD, autism, or simply difficult learning environments. The public schools classify them as problems. We view them as possibilities." Elon sipped chamomile tea with honey. "And this is a nonprofit?" "Yes, but we are currently focused on nonprofit." Her lips curved into a small smile. "But you did not come here at midnight to discuss our financial statements, Mr. Musk." "Actually, I don't know why I'm here," Elon admitted. "I received a strange phone call, an image of a journal I'd never seen, and an address. That is all I know." Magdalena stood. "Then perhaps it is best if I show you Horizon House properly before we proceed. Understanding where you are can help you understand why you're here." She led him back down the hallway, moving at the deliberate pace of someone who had learned to conserve energy. As they walked, she pointed out different rooms. "This is our main classroom," she explained, opening a door to reveal a well-organized space. Instead of rows of desks, set up learning stations. Our students move between activities based on their needs for the day. Some people cannot sit still for long. Others need more time to read. We adapt to them, not the other way around. The next room contained computers, most of which appeared to be at least 5 years old. Our technology center, Magdalena explained, donated equipment that was not the most recent but still functional. The children learn basic programming and research skills, and it may be the only computer they have access to. They continued into a small kitchen. "We offer breakfast and lunch."
Many of our children come from food-insecure households. As they toured the modest facility, Elon noticed details that demonstrated care despite limited resources. Hand-sewn cushions made sitting areas more comfortable.
Clever organization systems make the best use of limited space. Nothing matched, but everything served a purpose. What number of children do you serve? Elon asked. Currently, 43 students attend our after-school programs. 17 students come to our full-day program because they are unable to attend traditional schools. The youngest is 4.
The oldest is 16. What about the staff? 3 paid teachers, including myself. The remaining participants are volunteers, college students, retired teachers, and parents of current or former students.
We make do. They paused in front of a wall covered in photographs, the same ones Elon had seen on his way in. Magdalena touched one that depicted a young boy wearing thick glasses and proudly holding up a science project. This is Marco. He was 9 years old when he came to us, unable to read. Despite his severe dyslexia, the school system had allowed him to progress. His parents, both working multiple jobs, were unable to afford special tutoring. She smiled at the memory. He is now 14 years old and reads above his grade level. Last month, his science project won a regional competition. She pointed to another photograph of a teen girl painting on an easel. Zara.
She has severe anxiety, which makes traditional classrooms impossible. She stopped speaking completely for a year. Here, she discovered her voice through art. She recently received a scholarship for a summer art program. Elon studied the faces in the photographs, which reminded him of himself at different ages, intense, focused, and unique. He was fortunate to have parents who recognized his unique mind and found schools that could challenge rather than constrain him.
These children clearly hadn't been as fortunate until they discovered Horizon House. Your work is admirable, he commented. But I still don't understand what it has to do with me or why I was summoned here tonight. Magdalena led him back to her office. What did you notice about the neighborhood that you drove through tonight? Elon considered. It's working class, not wealthy. It's fighting for survival, Magdalena said gently. 20 years ago, this was gang territory. Drugs, violence, and abandoned buildings. Most people have options left. Those who were unable to leave endured. And now? We are now fighting a different adversary. Development companies buy buildings, raise rents, and evict families. They call it progress. We call this displacement.
They arrived at her office, and she motioned for him to sit again. Horizon House has occupied this location for the past 15 years. Previously, it was a storage facility, a liquor store, and, briefly, a church.
If nothing changes, it will be converted into luxury apartments next month. Understanding dawned. Do you think I could buy the building for you? Magdalena shakes her head.
If it were that simple, Mr. Musk, we would have approached you through normal channels, such as your foundation, with a donation request like the thousands you must receive. Then what? We need you to first understand something about yourself that you don't already know. She checked her watch. We'll need Olivia for this. As if on cue, the back door of the office opened. A young woman stepped through with a shoebox in her hands. She appeared to be in her late 20s, with curly brown hair pulled back into a messy ponytail and intelligent eyes behind simple glasses. Mr. Musk, Magdalena explained. This is Olivia Barrett. The young woman held his gaze steadily, though her hands trembled slightly. Thank you for coming, she said quietly. My mother had waited a long time for this moment. Elon looked between the two women, his questions multiplying. Your mother? Olivia nodded, clutching the shoebox more tightly. Yes, Clara Barrett. The name had no meaning for him. Elon scoured his memory, attempting to place it among the thousands of people he'd met throughout the years. I'm sorry, but I don't recognize that name. You wouldn't, Olivia replied. She looked at Magdalena, who nodded encouragingly. But she knew you before. Elon could ask more questions. Magdalena motioned to Olivia. Maybe we should sit in the reading room? It's more suitable for a lengthy conversation. They relocated to a small room off the main area, which was furnished with a worn sofa, several beanbag chairs, and a round table surrounded by child-sized chairs. Colorful rugs covered the floor, and string lights hung from the ceiling, casting a warm glow throughout the space. One of the walls was lined with a bookshelf full of children's books. Magdalena carefully lowered herself onto the sofa and patted the spot beside her for Olivia. Elon took a nearby adult-sized chair. Before we get into what's in that box, Magdalena explained, you should know how Horizon House came to be. It's my story, but it's also Clara's story, and it will eventually become part of yours, Mr. Musk. I'm listening, Elon said, his curiosity fully engaged. Magdalena folded her hands in her lap. I taught special education in the public school system for 30 years. Every year, I witnessed brilliant children fall through the cracks because they did not learn in the manner that our schools taught. Children whose minds raced too quickly, processed information differently, or required movement to focus. Her eyes grew distant with memories. By the time I retired, I was completely frustrated. The system was intended to manage children, not to nurture them. I wanted to create something unique, a place where children could learn in ways that worked with their brains rather than against them. So, you started Horizon House, Elon explained. Magdalena corrected, I had the dream, but not the means. I had a teacher's pension and some savings, enough to live modestly but not to open a school. Olivia took up the story. That's where my mother came in. Clara Barrett was a single mother of a learning disabled child. Me. She smiled slightly. I have dyslexia and ADHD. Back then, schools were not as aware of how to deal with these situations. I was falling further behind every year. Clara approached me after our parent-teacher conference. Magdalena continued. I was Olivia's third-grade teacher, and I was the only one who understood that her difficulties were not due to a lack of effort or intellect. Clara asked if I would tutor Olivia privately. Olivia explained that her mother was working 2 jobs at the time. She spent her days working at a coffee shop and her nights cleaning offices. She saved enough for 2 hours of tutoring per week. Magdalena nodded. Olivia made remarkable progress with only a little specialized attention. Clara noticed and asked if I would be willing to teach a small group of children with similar needs. She mentioned that she knew other parents in the same situation. So Horizon House started with tutoring sessions? Elon asked. Magdalena responded, yes, in my living room. 6 kids, twice a week. Word spread quickly. Within a year, I had 20 children in a waiting list, but no money for a suitable facility. Olivia recounted an unexpected incident. Mom returned home one day with amazing news. She had received a substantial bonus for an investment she had made years before. She intended to use it to assist Magdalena in renting a proper space for the program. Elon leaned forwards. What type of investment? Olivia and Magdalena exchanged looks. Olivia said that was part of what was in the box. But don't get ahead of ourselves, Magdalena continued. With Clara's help, we rented our first small space, 2 rooms in a church basement. We named it Horizon House because Clara always believed that children should be able to see beyond their current circumstances and toward the horizon of possibilities. We worked on a shoestring budget, she explained. Donated furniture, used books, and volunteer teachers. However, the results spoke for themselves. Children who had been labeled as problem students thrived. Some students returned to traditional schools with improved skills and confidence. Others remained with us throughout their school years. Olivia explained that after 3 years, we had outgrown the church basement. That's when Mom added another contribution. Enough to cover the down payment on this building.
Elon looked around the room, seeing it through new eyes. Not just as a humble community center, but as a person's dream realized through sacrifice and determination. Clara never sought recognition, Magdalena said softly.
She insisted on keeping her contributions anonymous. Only a few people understand how important she was in creating this place. Why the secrecy? Elon asked. Olivia adjusted the shoebox on the tip of her lap. Mom was a private individual by nature. But she also believed that her relationship with this place should be determined by what she gave, not who she was or where the money came from. Magdalena explained that this building has served as a sanctuary for the past 15 years. We've helped hundreds of children discover their full potential. Some have become the first members of their families to attend college. Others have discovered career paths that take advantage of their unique skills. She pointed to a wall of photographs that differed from those in the hallway. These depicted young adults wearing graduation gowns, work uniforms, and business attire. Our alumni, doctors, mechanics, artists, and entrepreneurs were once labeled as failures by a system that did not recognize their worth. Elon studied the photographs. It is impressive work. Magdalena explained that the work will be completed in 30 days. Her voice suddenly grew tired. The building was sold to a development company. They're converting the entire block into luxury condominiums. Can't you relocate? Elon inquired. Commercial. Olivia explained that rents in Oakland have tripled over the last decade. We've been searching for months. Nothing in our price range could support our program. And asking for an extension? The developers aren't interested in our story, Magdalena explained. They focus on property values rather than children's futures. Elon offered to help with funding. Find a new location and cover the costs. We are not asking for charity, Mr. Musk, Magdalena stated firmly. Olivia nodded, acknowledging your kind offer. Mom always stated that Horizon House should not rely on handouts. She believed in creating something sustainable. Then what do you want from me? Elon inquired, puzzled. Olivia put the shoebox on the table between them. First, we want you to understand something about yourself and your past. Her fingers lingered on the lid for a moment. Mom made me promise I'd show you these personally. She said you had to see them with your own eyes. Clara fell ill last year, Magdalena explained gently. Cancer. When she realized her time was limited, she made plans for everything, including what to do with you. Elon mentioned me again. I still don't understand how I'm involved in any of this. You will, Olivia said. She eventually opened the box. Inside, there was the burgundy leather journal from the photo, as well as several folded papers and a small flash drive. Olivia carefully lifted the journal from the box, revealing that it belonged to her mother. Inside are her personal thoughts, observations, and ideas spanning 20 years. She showed Elon her notes about you. Elon took the journal from when she worked as a janitor at your first company in the late 1990s, a look of surprise on his face. Was your mother a janitor at my company? Olivia nodded. The overnight shift. You probably didn't even notice her. She cleaned your office every night, Magdalena explained, while you worked late, talking to yourself about problems that needed to be solved. Elon looked at the journal in his hands. The worn leather became a portal to a past he thought he knew intimately. Why would she keep notes on me? Because, Olivia explained quietly, my mother saw something in you that you did not see in yourself. And because what she overheard on those nights altered both of your lives forever. She taps the journal. Read it, Mr. Musk. Start at the beginning. Then you'll understand why we called you in tonight. Elon opened the journal with caution, aware that he was handling something valuable to the young woman watching him. The pages were filled with neat, compact handwriting, as if the writer understood the importance of space. The first entry was dated September 12, 1998. Olivia said softly, that is when Mom started working for your company. She just moved to California with me. I was 7 years old. Elon looked up from his journal. Why haven't you told me about her first? He suggested. Before I read this, I'd like to know who Clara Barrett was. Olivia appeared surprised at the request. After a moment, she nodded. Mom grew up in Ohio, a small town with big dreams. She was always good with computers and taught herself coding from library books in the 1980s, when that was unusual, particularly for women. Olivia went to college for computer science, but she had to drop out in her third year because she became pregnant with me. My father was not in the picture. Magdalena added that she is a single mother without a degree. In many ways, it's a familiar story. But Mom was never ordinary, Olivia said with quiet pride. Despite not having a degree, she continued to learn, reading everything she could about technology and obsessively following industry news. She smiled at a memory. I grew up reading technology magazines rather than bedtime stories. How did she wind up in California? Elon asked. She stated that the future was happening here, and she wanted to be a part of it. Olivia explained. We had nearly no money. She took the janitorial job because the pay was slightly higher than retail and the hours allowed her to be home when I returned from school. Elon nodded and turned a page in his journal. And she began keeping a diary about her work. It wasn't only about work. It was her way of staying connected with technology. She couldn't build it herself, but she could watch, learn, and understand. Magdalena rose with the stiffness of aging. I will prepare fresh tea. This conversation requires it. She shuffled to the kitchen, leaving Elon alone with Olivia. A moment of silence passed between them before Elon inquired. What was it like to grow up with a mother who worked at night? The question appeared to catch Olivia off guard. She admitted that it was hard. Mom would arrive home exhausted at dawn, sleep while I was at school, and then stay awake for a few hours with me before leaving again. Weekends were precious. She twisted her hands in her lap and never complained. Even when I struggled in school due to learning disabilities, she never treated me like a burden. Instead, she'd say we were both engaged in battles others could not see. She sounds amazing, Elon said sincerely. She was. Olivia's voice caught slightly. 3 months ago, she died. Pancreatic cancer. She took a quick glance at the journal in his hands. On her final day, she made me promise to find you and show you the journal. It was important that you received it directly, rather than through assistants or staff. Elon's gaze returned to the journal, his curiosity mixed with an unexpected sense of responsibility. I will read it carefully, he promised. However, I still don't understand my connection to Horizon House. Olivia reached into the shoebox and took out a few folded papers. These may help explain. She handed them to Elon. Stock certificates. Elon unfolded the papers. They were stock certificates for his early company from the late 1990s. Not a large amount, but enough to accumulate over time. Your mother invested in my company? He inquired, surprised. Olivia confirmed, using every spare dollar she had. She believed in what you were creating. Every night while she cleaned, she listened to you talk about your problems. I watched you work until Dawn noticed your determination. Elon stared at the certificates. These would be worth a lot of money today. Yes, Olivia replied. Enough to support a small community center for 15 years. Despite my learning abilities, it was enough to get me through college. Disabilities. There was no boasting in her tone. Only a statement of fact. Your mother used her investment earnings to fund Horizon House? Olivia nodded. She referred to paying forward as a good bet. She never desired recognition. I never wanted you to know. Said the money was earned legitimately through a wise investment. This was not something you owed her. So why tell me now? Because of this, Olivia stated. Slide the flash drive across the table. And because Mom's final investment returns were used to pay for her medical expenses. There is nothing left to save Horizon House. Magdalena returned with fresh tea. I winced as I returned to the sofa. Clara wanted you to understand what resulted from your efforts, Mr. Musk. Not just companies and rockets. But lives changed in hidden corners you never noticed.
Elon felt oddly humble. He was used to hearing about his impact on the world. Usually in terms of a technological revolution or economic impact.
But this was different. This was an intimate setting. Personal.
Hidden. Olivia spoke about the children who come here. They are gesturing at the building around them.
They're just like I was. Diverse thinkers. Square pegs are being forced into round holes by an educational system that prioritizes conformity over creativity. Mom used to say that the world requires different types of minds to solve different kinds of problems, she went on. She recognized that in you. Someone whose mind functioned differently. That's why she invested in more than just your company. But in your vision. Elon searched through the journal, stock certificates, and flash drive. What do you want from me? He asked directly. You've stated that you don't want charity. We want understanding, Magdalena responded.
Not for our needs. But consider your impact. Olivia, I understand, maintained a steady gaze on him.
Then you can decide what happens next. That was Mom's last request. That you know the whole story and can make your own decision. She tapped the flash drive. This includes videos of children who have passed through Horizon House over the years. Their struggles. Their breakthroughs. Their success. Mom filmed everything. This is her legacy. And the journal? Elon inquired, his fingertips tracing the worn cover. Olivia said softly, that is her gift to you.
Her observations about the problems your company was experiencing. She took notes while listening to you work through challenges aloud. And, she paused, something she had never told anyone about.
Not even me. Until the end. Elon raised an eyebrow, inquiring. Olivia simply stated, she helped you. Anonymously. I occasionally left notes on your desk. She overheard people solving problems you are struggling with. They requested suggestions from the cleaning staff. Elon's expression changed as he realized what was going on. He muttered something about the cleaning staff. I've always wondered who left them. Olivia repeated, read the journal. Then you will understand everything. Elon nodded and reopened the journal. This time, with a renewed sense of reverence. The initial entry was brief. September 12, 1998. First day at a new job. The cleaning crew works the night shift. The boss stayed until 3 a.m., working on server issues. He speaks to himself when he believes no one is listening. This reminds me of how I used to debug code in my head. I miss that life. But this will suffice for now. The pay is decent. Olivia starts a new school tomorrow. He turned the page and scanned the next few entries. They documented Clara's observations about the early startup environment. It's exciting. The chaos. People worked long hours. Her writing was clear and perceptive, noting details that most people would miss. September 23, 1998. They are having issues with the database configuration. I overheard the boss explain the issue to the lead developer. In fact, the solution is quite simple. The same issue arose in my second-year programming class. I wonder if they will figure it out. September 24, 1998. They're still stuck on the database issue. I took a risk tonight and left a note on the boss's desk while emptying his trash. Try checking. Connection string parameters. Cleaning staff. I hope I do not get fired for this. Elon looked up from his journal. A memory clicked into place. The connection string note, he explained. I recall that. We'd been stuck for days due to a database issue. That note directed us to the solution. Olivia smiled slightly. Mom said she was afraid she would lose her job for overstepping. Instead, it saved us several weeks of work. Elon murmured, returning to his journal. The entries continued, documenting the company's development and challenges. Clara's notes were technical at times, demonstrating a thorough understanding of the issues being discussed around her. She emptied trash cans and cleaned whiteboards, following late-night strategy sessions. November 16, 1998. The scaling problem they're having isn't as complicated as they make it. The architecture should be more modular. While helping Olivia with her homework, I sketched out a possible solution. It's been years since I coded anything substantial. However, the principles have not changed. Perhaps I will leave another note tomorrow. November 17, 1998. I made a more detailed suggestion tonight, using a rough diagram. Cleaning staff signed it yet again. When I came in to vacuum, the boss completely ignored me. I am invisible here, which hurts. Sometimes, it feels like a superpower. Elon raised his eyebrows as he read.
A note on modular architecture. This fundamentally altered our approach to scaling. We always wondered who had left the company.
Olivia spoke quietly about her mother's secret contributions. Elon continued reading, and the journal revealed a dual narrative. Clara's observations on the company's technical challenges and her parallel. Olivia's upbringing presents challenges. Parent-teacher conferences to discuss her learning disabilities. Late-night tutoring sessions. The perpetual juggling of bills and time. April 3, 1999. Olivia's teacher suggests that she may need to repeat second grade. She claims to be intelligent, but she does not put forth any effort. The same thing was said about me at her age. Does not apply herself.
She tries more than anyone I know. The system is unsure what to do with minds that function differently. Same day.
Today, the company raised another round of funding. Everyone is celebrating. The boss appears exhausted, but happy. Overheard him discussing server redundancy issues. I also know how to solve that one. Elon felt a strange tightness in his chest while reading. These events had occurred more than 25 times. Years had passed, but to Clara, they felt immediate and personal. He'd been so focused on growing his company. He hadn't noticed the quiet woman who cleaned his office. Never imagined she understood the technical issues he dealt with every night. Your mother had a remarkable mind, he told Olivia. She did. She recognized the same quality in you. Olivia motioned to the journal. Continue reading. It becomes more interesting. The middle section of the journal described Clara's decision to invest in the company. She had been setting aside a small portion of each paycheck to cover Olivia's future educational expenses. However, after months of observing the company's operations and Elon's dedication, she made a different decision. June 12, 1999. I made a potentially foolish decision today. Taking my savings and purchasing company stock. It's not much, just enough to notice, but it feels natural. I believe in what they are creating here. More importantly, I believe in my boss. He possesses that rare combination of vision and tenacity that could change the world. If I can't build the future myself, I can still own a small piece of someone else's vision. The entries covered the company's early growth, challenges, near failures, and eventual success. Clara captured it all from the perspective of someone watching from the shadows, noticing details that others missed. December 18, 1999. The company nearly went bankrupt today. Only the inner circle knows how close it came. I cleaned up the IE meeting room after their emergency session. The whiteboard conveyed the story. They've run out of runway. The boss stayed up all night considering options. I left him a coffee in the break room before I left for home. He never noticed. December 24, 1999. Christmas Eve miracle. The merger went through. The company is saved. When I saw the boss, he appeared to have not slept in days. My stock might be worth something someday.
Olivia requested a computer for Christmas. I couldn't afford a new one, so I found a decent used model. Perhaps one day she will build something great on her own.
Elon remembered that December vividly. How close they had come to total failure. Those sleepless nights. A last-minute deal that saved everything. He had never considered that someone else was witnessing everything. He understood more than he realized.
The later entries demonstrated Clara's increasing investment success as the company grew. Her notes began to focus on her future plans rather than technical issues. Her dream is to create a place for children like Olivia.
March 10, 2003. Stock split. Today. My small investment continues to grow. I started talking to Olivia's former teacher, Ms. Flores, about an idea. What if we established a learning center for children who think differently? She possesses educational expertise. If my investment continues to grow, I may eventually have the funds. Elon looked up to Magdalena. You are Ms. Flores. She nodded. Clara approached me with the concept for Horizon House years before it opened. She was planning it all the time. Watching her investment grow. Waiting until she'd had enough. The final pages of the journal documented Horizon House's inception and early years.
Clara's pride in the project and Olivia's progress was evident in each entry. October 15, 2007. Horizon House hosted its first official students today.
6 children, including a boy who looks so much like Olivia at that age. Ms. Flores is a miracle worker for them. The boss, though no longer my boss, is now one of the world's most well-known entrepreneurs. I wonder if he remembers the cleaning lady who used to leave him notes? Probably not. But that's fine. Our paths crossed when they needed to. Elon closed the journal, feeling an unexpected emotion that he couldn't quite describe. Somewhere between humility and awe. Between gratefulness and regret. He inquired as to why she never desired recognition. Olivia confirmed, never.
She claimed she made a fair investment and received a fair return. The notes she left you were simply her way of staying connected to the work she adored but couldn't pursue. Elon rubbed his hand over the journal's worn cover.
I wish I'd known her. In some ways, you did, Magdalena said softly. You simply didn't realize it. Olivia reached into the shoebox again, removing a bundle of letters tied with a simple blue ribbon. There's more, she said as she carefully untied the ribbon. These are letters Mom wrote but never sent.
She kept them for years. She passed the bundle to Elon. The envelopes were addressed simply to the boss. Why didn't she mail them? Elon inquired, handling the yellowed envelopes with care. Some explain her investment choices. Others are discussing Horizon House. Several are more personal. Olivia hesitated. Mom was a private person, but she wrote these so you could read them someday. Magdalena arose slowly. I will give you some privacy for this section. These letters were between Clara and you, even if our conversation was one-sided until now. She patted Olivia's shoulder. Come and help me prepare some food. It's late, and our guest has not eaten. Olivia appeared reluctant to leave, but nodded. Take your time, Mr. Musk. The letters are sorted by date. Following their departure, Elon opened the first letter. The paper was thin and slightly worn, as if it had been unfolded and reread numerous times. January 15, 2000, to the boss. You do not know me, but I clean your office every night. I am writing to explain something. I have done something that affects both of us. 3 months ago, I invested my entire savings, $2,876, in company stock. This may appear insignificant to you, but it represented everything I had managed to save from 2 years of night shifts. I made this investment for my daughter Olivia. She is 8 years old and struggles in school because her brain functions differently than others. The educational system has no idea what to do with her, just as it did with me when I was her age. I watch you work late into the night, discussing problems aloud and refusing to accept conventional limitations.
You remind me of her. You have the same intensity and refuse to give up when faced with a challenge. I believe you will succeed because I recognize your qualities. I can't pursue my own technological dreams anymore.
Life took me down a different path, but with this small investment, I feel connected to the future I once imagined for myself. Maybe someday it will help Olivia have opportunities that I never had. I'll continue to leave notes as I see solutions to problems you're working on. Consider it my way of contributing other than emptying your trash can. Clara Barrett, the cleaning lady, has stock options. Elon smiled at the signature before opening the next letter.
May 3, 2003, to the boss. My investment has grown beyond my expectations. The company's success has significantly improved my financial situation, though I continue to clean offices, albeit different ones.
Old habits are difficult to break, and working the night shift allows me to be available for Olivia during the day. Some of the investment returns have already been put to use for a personal project. Together with Olivia's former teacher, I'm establishing a learning center for children who think differently. We call it Horizon House. The first class will gather in Ms. Flores' living room. 6 children, each struggling in traditional schools. Children like Olivia require a different approach to education. You will never know what role you played in making this happen, and that is fine. I believe that some of the best things we do in life occur quietly. Their influence reverberates in ways that we cannot always predict. See if you're still cleaning. Clara. The following letters documented Horizon House's growth, with Clara's humble pride evident on each page. She described the children who benefited from the program, the teaching methods they developed, and the gradual transition from a living room to a rented classroom to eventually purchasing the current building. One letter from 2010 caught Elon's attention. Attention! Your companies and my investment are both growing. I've set up a trust for Olivia's college education. Despite, or perhaps because of, her learning disabilities, she is incredibly creative and aspires to be a special education teacher herself. The remaining funds will benefit Horizon House. We now serve 37 children, with a waiting list twice as long. Each success story seems like a small miracle. Children who were previously labeled as failures are discovering their unique gifts and potential. Sometimes I wonder if you'd be interested in what resulted from your efforts. This small center in Oakland, helping Children's Society, is often overlooked. But now you're building rockets and changing the world in much bigger ways. In comparison, our work here is small. Just a small ripple in the waves you're creating. Elon glanced up from the letters, suddenly understanding. She has used the investment returns to fund this place for many years, not as a charity, but as an extension of her personal vision. He continued to read through the bundle. As Clara's health deteriorated, her more recent letters took on a different tone. March 12, 2024. The doctors tell me I don't have much time left. Cancer can move quickly. I've arranged for everything except Horizon House. After all these years, we are facing a crisis. The neighborhood is changing. Developers want to use this block for luxury housing.
Our landlord is selling, and the lease will not be renewed. I've depleted my final savings on medical treatments, hoping for more time. There is nothing left to save Horizon House.
After I leave, it will most likely close. I've debated whether to contact you directly. Do you remember the cleaning lady from 25 years ago? Do you care about this small town that grew out of your success? Olivia suggests that I reach out, but my pride prevents me from doing so. What we built here was not a charity. It was my life's work, and I invested in children like my daughter. Asking for help feels like admitting failure, but I can't bear the thought of these kids having nowhere to go. So, I made a decision. After I leave, Olivia will bring you this journal and these letters. She'll show you what grew out of those late nights when you worked and I cleaned, both of us believing in something greater than ourselves. What you do with this information is entirely up to you. I ask for nothing. I simply want you to know about the unexpected garden that grew from seeds you planted without realizing it. Clara. Elon carefully refolded the final letter one last time, causing a lump in his throat. Through these pages, he had met a woman he had never seen before, a woman who had observed him, understood him, and created something remarkable in parallel with his own journey. The door softly opened, and Olivia returned. "Have you read them all?" she asked. "Yes," Elon replied, his voice slightly rougher. "Your mother was an extraordinary person." Olivia agreed. She was sitting across from him. "You now understand why she wanted to tell you this story." "I do," Elon replied, "but there is still the flash drive." He picked up the small device off the table. "What's on it?" Olivia simply stated, "The children. Their stories. Their lives changed. By Horizon House. Mom recorded everything." She took a deep breath. "Are you ready to see what your success has created?" Elon nodded, suddenly excited to see the last piece of Clara's legacy. Olivia took the flash drive and connected it to a laptop on a nearby desk. The screen flickered to life, revealing a simple file directory containing dozens of video files, each labeled with a name and date. "Mom was very particular about documentation," Olivia explained as she clicked on the first file. She conducted interviews with nearly every child who came to Horizon House with their parents' permission. Some have multiple videos that span years. The video started to play. A young boy, perhaps 8 years old, sat in what appeared to be a small office area inside Horizon House. He fidgeted constantly, his gaze darting around the room, unable to rest. "This is Marcus," Olivia explained. "He was among our first students." Clara's voice, heard off camera, spoke gently. "Marcus, could you tell me about school before coming to Horizon House?" The boy frowned as his hands twisted in his lap. "I was the bad kid," he flatly stated, "always in trouble. Teachers said I couldn't focus or follow directions." Clara's voice asked. Marcus responded, smiling slightly, "Miss Flores allows me to stand while I work. And I can take breaks when my mind becomes too active. I completed my first book last week." The pride in his voice was undeniable. Olivia switched to another file. This one came 3 years later. The same boy, older and more composed, sat in the same chair. "Marcus, you are graduating from Horizon House this year. What comes next for you?" Marcus, a teenager, smiled confidently. "I'm in high school and taking advanced math courses. Ms. Flores taught me how to deal with my ADHD rather than fight it. I want to be an engineer someday." A final video of Marcus, now a young man in his early 20s, dressed in a college graduation gown. He told the camera, "I just finished my degree in mechanical engineering. I have already accepted a job offer from a robotics company. None of this would have occurred without Horizon House. Before I arrived here, everyone had given up on me, including myself." Olivia browsed through more videos. A girl with severe dyslexia became a successful graphic novelist. A boy with autism has discovered a talent for computer programming. An anxious teenager who found her voice by teaching younger children. Each story had a similar arc. Children who struggled in traditional educational settings achieved success. When given the right environment and tools, some people with learning disabilities found something transformative at Horizon House, while others faced difficulties due to unstable housing or poverty. "These are just a few examples," Olivia explained. "Over the last 15 years, Horizon House has assisted over 300 children." She opened a video of a backyard barbecue after selecting a folder labeled Annual Gatherings. Former students of all ages mixed with current ones, their families chatting while the kids played. Olivia explained that Mom would host a reunion every summer. Many of our alumni return to mentor current students or offer internships. Clara moved through the crowd, greeting everyone by name, and her face was beaming with joy. Despite being thinner than in her professional photo, she exuded energy. She paused to hug a young woman who appeared in an earlier video but is now a confident adult carrying a portfolio case. "Zara brought her design portfolio to show everyone," Olivia explained. She recently landed her first job at a major gaming company. She could barely speak when she first came to us because she was so anxious. The videos continued, demonstrating the impact of Horizon House's work not only on individual children, but also on families and the larger community. Parents described transformations they had seen in their children. Former students returned as parents or volunteers. One video showed Clara speaking to a small crowd at what appeared to be a community meeting. Her voice was passionate as she described how different minds contribute unique solutions to the world's problems. "We don't need these kids to conform," she explained. "We need them to bring their unique perspectives to problems that we haven't yet solved." The next breakthrough in medicine, technology, or art could come from a mind that perceives information differently. Elon watched, moved by the dedication shown in every frame. This was not a charity or vanity project. This was serious, transformative work taking place quietly in a neighborhood that few wealthy people had ever visited. The final video was released only 2 months earlier. Clara sat in a hospital bed, visibly weak from illness, but with clear eyes and a determined expression. "This might be my last recording," she said. "Horizon House faces an uncertain future without funding, but its work is not complete. There are still children who require what we provide." She looked directly at the camera. "If you're watching this, Elon, Olivia has granted my request to tell you our story. I never sought recognition for my investment in your company. It was a business decision that paid off beyond my wildest expectations." Clara adjusted her position in the bed, wincing slightly. "What I want is for you to understand the unexpected consequences of your success. While you were changing the world in highly visible ways, my small investment in your vision enabled me to change it in a more subtle way." Her voice grew stronger. "I am not asking you to save Horizon House. That is your decision to make. I simply wanted you to know that success has unintended consequences, and yours contributed to something beautiful." The video ended, leaving the room silent.
Elon sat motionless, processing what he had seen. The journal, letters, and now these videos painted a picture of lives transformed by the vision of a woman he had barely noticed before. Years ago, a woman helped him in ways he never realized.
He eventually said, "Your mother built something remarkable." Olivia agreed. "And now it is about to vanish." Magdalena appeared at the doorway. "The developer's final offer expires tomorrow. Following that, we have 30 days to vacate." Elon looked around the small room with fresh eyes, seeing past the worn furniture and outdated technology to the important work taking place within these walls. "I need to think," he explained. Magdalena led them to a small kitchen in the back of the building. The space was unassuming but welcoming. A round table with mismatched chairs, simple white cabinets, and kids' artwork taped to the fridge. She started preparing a late-night meal while Elon sat in contemplative silence. Olivia set mugs of coffee on the table, acknowledging that there was a lot to take in. "Mom kept her connection to you a secret for many years. Even I didn't know the whole story until her last weeks." Elon wrapped his hands around the warm mug. "Why has she decided to tell me now? Why not years ago?" Olivia admitted that her main feeling was pride. She saw Horizon House as her personal accomplishment, the result of a wise investment rather than a charity case. "What has changed?" Olivia exchanged glances with Magdalena. "The truth is more complicated than what we've shown you thus far," she explained cautiously. "Mom revealed something at the very end. Something she never wrote in her journal or letters." Magdalena put a simple meal on the table. Sandwiches, fruit, and homemade-looking cookies. "Eat first," she insisted. "Then we'll explain the rest." They ate in companionable silence. Elon found himself studying the room, noting the careful use of limited resources. A bookshelf contained teaching materials arranged by subject. Plastic bins labeled with children's names contained what appeared to be personalized learning tools. A wall calendar showed a complex schedule of specialized sessions. He inquired as to the number of staff members. Magdalena responded, 3 paid teachers, including myself. We can afford 2 part-time tutors. The rest are volunteers. And how many children do you serve? Olivia said that there are currently 43 regular students. We could assist more if we had the space and resources. What happens to them if Horizon House closes? Elon inquired. Magdalena sat down with her sandwich, her expression solemn. The majority will return to schools that do not understand them. Some will fall through the cracks completely. Public schools do their best, but they are not prepared for children who learn differently. Olivia added that waiting lists for specialized programs are years long, and private options are out of reach for the majority of our families. Horizon House has always used a sliding scale. Some families pay whatever they can. Others pay nothing. Elon nodded, absorbing the information. You said there was more to the story. Olivia took a deep breath. Yes, it is about why Mom finally decided to contact you. She paused, then continued. There's a reason she felt so drawn to your work all those years ago. Why did she believe in you when you were first starting out? Magdalena gently touched Olivia's hand, encouraging her. Tell him. Clara would like you to. Olivia explained that before Mom got sick, we discovered that the developer who is buying this building is a subsidiary of Venture Start Partners. They focus on acquiring properties in transitional neighborhoods for luxury development. Elon maintained a neutral expression, though something flickered in his eyes. And this is significant because Raymond Donovan is the CEO of Venture Start, Olivia explained, watching his reaction. Your former business partner. Elon's posture stiffened slightly. 20 years ago, Raymond and I parted ways. According to Mom, things did not go well. Olivia spoke carefully. She cleaned the offices the night of your last confrontation. She overheard everything. The kitchen fell silent as Elon's memories returned. Raymond Donovan had been present in the early days. Brilliant but ruthless. Always prioritizing increased profits over long-term growth. Their last argument had been explosive. This resulted in Raymond's departure from the company. What did your mother hear? Elon asked. His voice exerted control. Olivia paused, but Magdalena nodded encouragingly. Olivia explained that she had heard Donovan threaten you. He said he would spend the rest of his career dismantling everything you had built. Piece by piece. Elon dismissed the threat as one made in anger. Now we're dealing with ancient history. Is it? Magdalena inquired softly. Over the last 5 years, Venture Start has acquired 12 Oakland properties. Each housed a community organization. All were replaced with opulent developments. Elon's eyes narrowed. You're saying Raymond is specifically targeting Horizon House because of its connection to me? That is far-fetched. He'd have no idea this place existed. We also thought so. Olivia pulled out her phone and said, until Mom found this. She brought up an email and handed it to Elon. The message was brief. From a Venture Start executive to a property management firm. Donovan says to go ahead with the Barrett property acquisition regardless of price. Priority target. How did he? Did your mother get it? Elon asked. Olivia proudly stated that she had never lost her technical skills. When we received our first eviction notice, she did some research. This message was buried in property sale documents. Barrett's property. Elon muttered. Is Clara's name on the deed? Magdalena nodded. She built on a small foundation of investment returns. Clara Barrett Foundation for Educational Innovation. If anyone bothered to look, everything is on public record. Raymond Donovan looked. Elon concluded. Mom believed. Olivia revealed that he has been tracking her investments for years. She made a significant early investment in your company. Small in absolute terms, but substantial in percentage. Her name would appear on early financial documents. If Donovan was determined enough to investigate every possible connection to me. Elon's voice trailed off as he contemplated the implications. This isn't just about real estate development, Magdalena explained. He is systematically destroying something that arose from your success. Something that benefits children's society is often overlooked. Elon was quiet for a long time. His mind processed the new information. Eventually, he asked, "What exactly was Clara's plan?" "She must have owned one." Olivia smiled slightly. "Mom always had a plan. She hoped that once you understood the truth, you could consider intervening. Instead of money, use your voice and influence." Magdalena added, "The building is just a building. What really matters is the program. The educational approach that we have developed." Clara believed that these methods should spread, not disappear. Olivia explained that she had documented everything. Our teaching methods, personalized learning plans, and the outcomes we've obtained. It's all on the flash drive, including the children's stories. Clara discussed a larger vision in her final days, according to Magdalena. What if Horizon House's approach could benefit more children? What if the methods we developed here had a broader impact on education? Elon leaned back in his chair. The full picture is finally becoming clear. Clara wanted me to understand not only what she accomplished with her investment in my company, but also why it is important beyond this one building in Oakland. Exactly, Olivia confirmed. She said you might be the only person who truly understands what we're trying to accomplish here. Not just because you could provide financial assistance, but also because you understand the importance of developing minds that think differently. Magdalena added pragmatically that if Raymond Donovan's vendetta became public, he might reconsider. Elon smiled for the first time that night, a genuine smile that filled his eyes. Clara Barrett was quite a strategist, wasn't she? Olivia gave a bittersweet laugh. Mom always played the long game. So, Magdalena said, studying Elon's expression. You now know everything. The question is, what will you do with this information? Elon looked between the two women, then at the small kitchen that had fed countless children over the years. Through the window, he saw the first rays of dawn break over Oakland's skyline. He spoke slowly, "I believe I need to make a phone call."
Olivia and Magdalena exchanged glances as Elon took out his phone. Magdalena said it was almost dawn. "Should we grant you privacy?" Elon shakes his head.
This is not that type of call. I need to contact my security chief first. Dominic is probably organizing a search party right now. He dialed, and Dominic answered immediately. "Sir, are you okay?" "I am fine, Dominic. I am still at the address in Oakland. Everything is under control. Your tracker hasn't moved for hours. Protocol suggests." "I know the protocol," Elon said gently. "But the situation is unique. I need you to do something for me. Contact our legal team and request that they look into Venture Start Partners' Oakland property acquisitions over the last 5 years. I want to know everything about their operations, particularly anything related to Raymond Donovan." A brief pause. "Raymond Donovan, sir. Your former partner?" "The same. I also need information about the Clara Barrett Foundation for Educational Innovation, a nonprofit organization. And clear my schedule for tomorrow. I'll be staying in Oakland a little longer." After hanging up the phone, Elon returned his attention to Magdalena and Olivia. "That is the first step. Now I want to see more of Horizon House. Everything this time. If I'm going to help, I need to know exactly what Clara created." Magdalena led them through each room of Horizon House, and the sky was lit up with lightning. They had not visited these areas during their initial tour. Each area was thoughtfully designed to address specific learning needs. A sensory room with soft lighting and textures. Stations. A space where children could bounce, swing, or pace while listening to lessons. A technology lab with software designed for different learning styles. Magdalena explained that we tailor traditional curriculum to each child's unique learning style. Some people prefer to receive information in visual form. Others learn through movement and hands-on experiences. We meet them where they are rather than forcing them to adopt a single approach. A classroom filled with student projects. Olivia pointed at a complex robot model. This was created by a girl who couldn't sit still long enough to finish a worksheet. Her traditional schools labeled her as disruptive. We assigned her mechanical problems to solve. She was suddenly able to focus for hours. Olivia shared individual children's stories as they explored their challenges, breakthroughs, and development. Each story revealed the careful, personalized approach that distinguished Horizon House from traditional education. What makes this approach effective when traditional schools fail? Elon asked. Magdalena responded by stating 3 main points.
First, we truly understand different learning styles and adjust accordingly. Second, we maintain low teacher-student ratios. Third, we treat learning differences as variations rather than deficits.
What are your results? Olivia stated that 92% of our students either successfully return to traditional education or complete their education here before moving on to college or vocational training. In contrast, similar populations in public schools have a 50% success rate. They ended up in a small garden behind the building. A tranquil setting with raised vegetable beds, a small pond, and a reading nook beneath a tree. Morning. Light filtered through the leaves, resulting in dappled patterns on the ground. Olivia explained that this was Mom's favorite spot. She called it the thinking garden. Children come here when they need quiet or want to read outside. Elon sat on a bench, taking in the modest but well-kept space. Clara has created something remarkable here. Magdalena agreed. But she always insisted that Horizon House was more than just her creation. It grew as a result of a fortunate investment and many people's hard work. Elon remained silent for a moment, processing everything he had witnessed and learned during this extraordinary night. He finally looked up at the 2 women. I've made my decision, he explained. If you're willing to collaborate with me, I believe we can not only save Horizon House, but also increase its impact. What do you propose? Magdalena inquired cautiously. First, consider the immediate concern. The building. I'll say this, make an offer to venture start that no business can refuse, regardless of personal vendettas. That should protect your physical location. That is extremely generous, but... Olivia began. Elon raised a hand. I am not finished. This is not just about purchasing a building. Clara's creation here is too important to be small and vulnerable. He stood, pacing the garden path. His energy grew as he explained his vision. I'd like to establish a foundation separate from my other ventures that focuses on educational innovation for differently wired minds. Horizon House would be its flagship program. Clara's methods have been documented and shared with educators around the world. Magdalena's eyes widened. Do you want to scale what we do here? Exactly. Not by expanding Horizon House. That would mean losing the personalized approach that makes it work. However, by establishing a network of similar centers, each with a small scale and sharing resources, research, and methods. That is quite ambitious. Olivia spoke carefully. So was your mother's vision for this location? Elon responded. The journal and videos show that she always saw Horizon House as more than just a single building that served a few dozen children. She viewed it as a model of what education could be. He turned to face them directly. But I have one condition. What is that? Magdalena asked. Clara Barrett should be recognized as the true founder and visionary. Her name should be prominent. Her story is shared. No more anonymity. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. She said with a small laugh, would have hated that. Mom never desired the spotlight. Perhaps, Elon acknowledged. But her story should be told. Not only for her sake. But it may inspire others. The cleaning lady made wise investment decisions. Who left anonymous notes addressing technical issues. Who created something extraordinary while remaining invisible? He took a thoughtful look around the garden. There is poetry in that story. And it's important. Lesson in recognizing the contributions of people we might otherwise overlook. The morning sun had fully risen by now. The small garden is illuminated with golden light. Birds sang from the trees above. The sounds of the city awakening drifted over the fence. What do you think Clara wants you to do? Elon inquired of Olivia. Gently. Olivia was silent for a long time. Her hand rested on a wind chime that her mother had hung in the garden years before. Finally, she smiled. Olivia was confident she would say yes. But she'd make sure we did it correctly. Then let's do it correctly, Elon said. He extended his hand. For Clara. And for all the kids who think differently. Magdalena accepted his offered hand. Clara agreed. As they finalized their agreement, the wind chimes sang softly in the morning breeze. The gentle sound of possibility awakening. Horizon House underwent a complete transformation 6 months later. The building looked the same from the outside. Elon had insisted on maintaining its modest appearance. However, inside, subtle changes signaled new beginnings. Classrooms were full of up-to-date technology. Fresh paint brightened the walls. New books lined the shelves. Most importantly, the Clara Barrett Foundation for Educational Innovation now owns the building, and Magdalena and Olivia serve as directors alongside a board of educators and child development experts. On a sunny Saturday morning, a large crowd gathered in the garden behind Horizon House. Families of current and former students interacted with educators, community members, and media representatives. A small stage had been set up under the garden's largest tree. Its branches are now strung with twinkling lights. Elon stood at the edge of the crowd, watching as children led their parents through activity stations demonstrating Horizon House's innovative teaching methods. A boy demonstrated a robot that he had programmed himself. A girl proudly read aloud from a book, describing how special colored overlays helped her dyslexic brain process text. Teenagers who had previously been students volunteered as mentors, guiding younger children through science experiments and art projects. Olivia approached, dressed professionally but approachable in a simple blue dress. It's time, she explained. Everyone is ready. Elon nodded and followed her onto the stage. Magdalena was already seated, her silver hair neatly arranged and wearing her best jacket for the occasion. Raymond Donovan sat beside her, surprising many but necessary for Elon's story. The crowd fell silent as Elon took the podium. Cameras flashed, and reporters leaned forward, eager to capture whatever announcement had drawn the famous entrepreneur to this small town. Center in Oakland. Thank you for coming today, Elon began. 6 months ago, shortly after midnight, I received a strange phone call. That call brought me to Horizon House and a story I didn't expect. A story about how success causes ripples we cannot always see. He motioned to the building behind him. For 15 years, this location has been changing lives through an educational approach tailored to children whose minds work differently. What I didn't realize until recently was how closely my own story was linked to this incredible place. Elon provided a simplified version of Clara Barrett's story. The cleaning lady who invested in his first company, left anonymous notes to solve technical problems, and used her investment profits to help build Horizon House. Clara Barrett saw value where others didn't, he said. She recognized potential in a struggling startup. She saw brilliance in children who were labeled as problematic. She understood, perhaps better than most, that innovative thinking often manifests as disruption before revealing itself as progress. Murmurs spread throughout the audience as people realized the significance of what they were hearing. Today, I am pleased to announce that Horizon House has been saved. More than that, it's becoming the symbol of a new approach to education, one that Clara Barrett pioneered in this building. He described the plans for the new foundation, including how Horizon House's methods would be documented, researched, and shared with educators all over the world. How similar centers would open in other communities, forming a support network for people with different brain wiring. But there's one more chapter to this story, Elon explained, his tone changing slightly. Clara Barrett revealed this in her final days. One that brings all of us together in unexpected ways. He looked over at Raymond Donovan, who was sitting. Tension is visible in the old man's posture. Elon went on to say that 25 years ago, two business partners had a falling out. Angry words were exchanged. Threats were made. A woman cleaning the office overheard everything, including a promise to dismantle anything related to the partner who stayed. Donovan shifted uncomfortably as the camera lenses swiveled towards him. What neither man realized, Elon said, was that this same woman would later create something remarkable with her investment in their company. Something worth keeping, not destroying. He moved away from the podium and approached Donovan, extending his hand. After a brief pause, Donovan stood and accepted the handshake. A choreographed moment of reconciliation elicited appreciative murmurs from the audience. Raymond has generously agreed to become a founding donor of the Clara Barrett Foundation. Elon stated that sometimes the best way to heal old wounds is to create something new together. As the audience applauded, Elon returned to the podium to deliver his final remarks. Clara Barrett wasn't just an anonymous supporter of my work, he explained, his voice becoming unexpectedly emotional. She was also the person who, 25 years ago, stopped me from giving up everything when I was at my lowest. A hush fell over the garden. Early in my career, after a series of failures, I was ready to give up. I had received an anonymous letter with incredibly insightful advice, which gave me the courage to continue. Elon reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a worn, folded piece of paper. For decades, I've kept this letter, wondering who wrote the words that changed my life. I keep it in my wallet as a talisman. Olivia's eyes widened with surprise. This was something neither she nor Magdalena had known. Elon revealed that the poor letter came from Clara. She overheard my desperate phone call while cleaning my office late at night. She wrote words that changed my life forever, drawing on her experience with far more difficult challenges and far fewer resources. He carefully unfolded the letter, which was thin and soft from years of handling. The greatest revelation. Isn't it true that Clara saved Horizon House? Elon concluded. Horizon House and Clara Barrett saved me. As the morning sun filtered through the tree branches above, Elon read aloud the words he had carried for 25 years, tying together the final thread between his past and the unexpected present. Between a desperate entrepreneur and a thoughtful cleaning lady who recognized his potential when he did not. The audience listened in stunned silence. Witnesses to the closing of a circle that none of them knew existed until now. A circle had started with a midnight phone call and a mysterious journal. Thank you for joining me on the Midnight Call. Where are you tuning in from today? Please leave your location in the comments below. I'd like to know which part of the world this story reached. If you enjoyed this story of unexpected connections and hidden legacies, please click the like button. Your simple click helps bring these stories of kindness and human connection to more people. And if you're looking for more storytelling, check out the video on your screen right now for another journey that may leave you speechless. Until next time.